Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Loop Leader Meters and Totalizers Selling Strategies webinars. In this webinar, we hope to go over not only the basics of the Loop Leader as a product line, but also a brief discussion of why loop power meters are so useful, as well as the steps you can take to sell the Loop Leader. The questions like who you should talk to, how you overcome their objections, and what features to point out. Before we get started, I have a few bookkeeping issues to take care of. First, you'll notice that you're all in listen-only mode. Due to the number of participants, it would just be too difficult to have that many open phone lines on the webinar here today. However, you have the ability to type into the lower left of your screen and send me questions that I can stop and answer at several points during the webinar. Also, if I could ask a few of you to type into that box and let me know if my audio is coming through clear, I would certainly appreciate that. The number one question that I get asked is, will this webinar be recorded? Or are you going to send out the recording and the slides for the webinar? Well, we definitely will do that. Anyone who has registered for this webinar will get a copy of the recording as well as the slides next week. To those of you who are sending me in information that you hear me, thank you very much. I appreciate all that great feedback, and it sounds like I am coming through loud and clear. The last bookkeeping item is when you are done watching the webinar, there is a survey at the end. I would really appreciate it if you'd take 60 seconds and fill that out so that we know how we did here today and to get any ideas you may have about webinars you'd like to see Precision Digital put on. Obviously, we want to provide the best content that we can, and your feedback is vital to that. So let me introduce myself. My name is Joe Ryan. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing for Precision Digital. And this webinar is based on the Loop Leader Meters and Totalizers Selling Guide that we mailed out a few weeks ago. Hopefully you've received it by now. And I'm just curious how many of you got that document and are actually looking at it now in front of you. So if you could, please take a second just to select an answer from this poll. Maybe you've got the document and you have it in front of you right now. Maybe you remember getting it, but you've lost it, thrown it away, or just don't happen to have it on you. Or maybe you're not sure what I'm talking about, but you'd like to see one, and you'd like to get one mailed to you. Still a few answers coming in, but it looks like most of you either have gotten it or have gotten it and have it in front of you, but there are some of you who aren't familiar with it. So I will make sure if you answer that we send you out a copy next week, and you should hopefully have it by the end of the week. One more question I've got for you is just to know where you're located. We like to know what times of day work best for folks on these webinars. And so if you could give me a sense of where you are, if you're in Eastern, Central, or Western U.S., or if you're in Canada or somewhere else, that'd be great. If anybody does answer other, of course, I'd love to hear where you're at, so feel free to give me some feedback in the chat box. And it looks like we've got folks mostly from the U.S., but a pretty good split of Eastern, Central, and Western. So let's get started with the content on today's webinar. What is it you're going to learn here today? Well, we want to review how you sell these new Loop Leader products. Going along with that, of course, is who you sell them to. And I hope that by the time we're done, you know why they're looking to buy these products. Of course, the bottom line, the number one takeaway here, is that the Loop Leader is a way for you to increase your profit on all your 4 to 20 milliamp related sales and to help out your customer. This is not just to make you more money. It's also designed to show you why your customers want this product. We all want to be solutions providers. Well, this is a great product to help make you a solution provider and not just a source of one transmitter or one part for their system. To do that, we're going to talk about the success of the Loop Leader, why we've seen it doing so well, what those features and elements are to the product that make it so interesting. We'll talk about the case for selling the Loop Leader, why your customers want it, why you should want to sell it, what you need to know to do that. Look at top 10 selling opportunities. Take a look at both the competition and how this loop leader compares to our older loop leader line of panel meters. See some key features, and at the end, briefly talk about hazardous area approvals. Now, it would help for me to know what your level of experience is with loop-powered devices, so I know how in-depth I should go into the reasons for selling a loop-powered device. Maybe you're a seasoned field expert, and you know everything there is to know about 4 to 20 milliamps. Or maybe you know just enough to get the job done. You have a lot of product lines to manage, and you just know what you need to know in order to get it sold. And unsurprisingly, it looks like most people are in the category of just enough to get the job done. I can certainly respect that, and that is the answer I usually get on these webinars, so don't feel bad about that at all. So that being the case, let me just take one slide to briefly review what loop power meters are all about. If your customer wants to add a local indicator right at, for example, the side of a tank, somewhere where they may not already have a power supply running, but the 4 to 20 milliamp loop does, because you've got it running from your PLC or your control room out to the field where your transmitter's at, and you've got the 4 to 20 line, you just don't have power at the tank, you just have the 4 to 20 milliamp signal, that's when you'd use the loop power meter. So they've already got their power supply going through their transmitter, coming back to the PLC. But to add the loop power meter, all you have to do is break that 4 to 20 milliamp line. You just cut it anywhere that it happens to be, so that now you have 2 wires out of the one you just broke, and you add in that loop power meter right to that 4 to 20 milliamp loop. It can go anywhere in the loop. So if you've got that wire running somewhere already, that's where that 4 to 20 loop power meter can go. It doesn't require any external power to run it. It gets its power off the loop. That's the big reason why you buy these 2-wire devices, is their ease of installation and their ability to go just about anywhere your 4 to 20 milliamp loop is. So let's talk a little about the success of the loop leader. Why have we been so successful with this? Well, to get the answer to that, I surveyed my sales team, and we're going to take a look at what some of their answers were. These are actual answers from my sales team on what they're finding when they go out there and show these products to distributors and do ride-alongs with you on joint sales calls, what they hear about that's so good. So Owen has reported out that they really like the red flashing display for alarm states that can also come with a custom message. That's a fairly unique feature in loop power meters, and the fact that you can see it turn red, even though it's a loop power meter, it's got a multicolor backlight, flash a custom message at someone and really get their attention, makes it much more valuable than just some lower cost, lower quality loop power meter that just shows a number, tiny digits, and hopefully someone notices. Chuck likes the fact that we've got the dual line display with the bar graph. It gives you up to 4 different ways to show that information. You can show the top line display in one process variable, dual scale it to another display value in the lower display, or use it for a tag or unit. You've got the bar graph for an intuitive sense of where that process is at, and the bar graph comes with another little percent display above it. So now you can see 2 scales, a bar graph, and a percent, all on one 4 to 20 loop power display. And Mark really likes the fact, especially because he deals with so many level transmitters, that we've got this feet and inches version, something that actually shows in intuitive feet and inches rather than hundreds of inches or 3 decimal places for feet. Someone can look at 46 feet 10 inches and just instantly know what it is they're talking about. And you'll see there they're using the lower line for a larger 96% display just to show someone what the percentage is full in that tank or that sump. Another interesting element of the loop power meter is that they now have hazardous area approvals and free programming software. You can see there a snapshot of all the different approvals that are on this product. So we've got ATEX, IECEX, UL for Canada and the US as a Class 1, Div 1, and Div 2 product. So this is intrinsically safe and non-incentive, meaning if you've got Div 2 locations, you can install this without a barrier. Mark's a big proponent of the software. He finds that it's just an incredibly easy way to set these up, especially if you're using the more complicated features or you want to write out some long tags. because now you're just doing it on your computer right with the USB port that's on the meter. Chuck likes to promote the loop leader as a large project meter. Because it's a loop leader, you avoid a lot of additional costs because it's a loop-powered meter. It doesn't need a power supply everywhere, which means you can just put it in an EMA 4X box, install it outdoors. You can install it anywhere. You've got that 4 to 20 milliamp wire running. And with that programming software, you can save your configuration and just download it into each new meter. You don't even have to program each one individually. I mentioned that it's got Div 2 approvals earlier, and Owens had a lot of success at panel shops, specifically UL Div 2 or UL panel shops that design a lot of Division 2 panels. Because again, with a Div 2 non-incentive approval, you don't need those barriers like you need if all you had was a loop-powered meter. If all you had was an intrinsically safe meter. Now, of course, to promote this product, we've done a lot of work to design marketing materials like our custom 2-page flyer all about the loop leader. And you have access to this flyer through your distributor resource page at predig.com. We give you lines to type in whatever information you want, your company name, your email, website, address, your name and address and phone number, as well as your company logo. And then when you hit print, we provide you a PDF with that information and that logo you entered put right onto the PDF for printing, right where you normally would have to put a sticker or a stamp. And we can review how you get to that information at the end of the webinar if you decide you want to go and make some of these for yourselves. As we go into some more application-specific information, I'd like to know what kind of sensors or transmitters do you sell the most of? Here at Precision Digital, Level would be our number one, Flow our number two, but that may not be the case for you and your company. While I give you a second to answer that, I want to address a few people in the audience who have said that they don't have audio, and certainly they won't be able to hear this response, but if they do go back or if they have engaged with that audio already, let me know if anyone's able to correct that. It only looks like it's 2 or 3 of you. Maybe you've joined us, maybe you've not, but unfortunately I've done everything on my end I could for them. It sounds like the majority of you are hearing me just fine. It looks like we've got a pretty even split between level, flow, and pressure. 3 applications that these are great for. Thermocouples and RTDs, the loop leader is not a particularly great product to read an RTD or a thermocouple unless you're going through a temperature transmitter, because you do need a 4 to 20 milliamp loop for this particular product line. For those of you who do level, flow, and pressure, though, you live in the world of 4 to 20 milliamps every day, so this is a great product line for you to sell along with those transmitters. I am getting some feedback. Looks like, Brad, for example, you were able to connect and hear. I apologize about the issues you were having on your computer, but I'm glad to see you're working now. So again, the basic reason why you'd want to sell loop leaders is because you can install them in loops you're already selling. This is not a product that you have to go on missionary work to sell. You're going to be in a plant probably later today even where they have 4 to 20 milliamp loops. You're selling them 4 to 20 milliamp transmitters. And you can add this loop leader with no additional equipment anywhere along that 4 to 20 milliamp loop you want to cut the wires. So it's a very easy sell that just takes a minute at the end of your call to ask them where would their operators want to see that data. Do they really want to climb the tank to the top to read that transmitter? Or would they like to see it right at eye level? As far as locations you'd sell to, well, of course, it's all the places you're already calling on. Water and wastewater, power plants, chemical plants, pulp and paper, metals and mining, oil and gas. Anywhere you're calling on likely has these kinds of displays in there already. They're going to buy more with their new application, and they're probably going to upgrade some of the ones they already have. The question is, are you going to tell them you have these products so that they'll buy them from you? There's also potential for OEMs, systems integrators, and skid builders who are always looking for easy ways to get displays onto their product panels. And particularly at panel shops, especially UL panel shops. Because this product is UL listed for safe areas and has hazardous area approvals, as both intrinsically safe and non-incentive. This is a great product for panel shops building UL Div 2 panels. So we know the general case for loop power meters. You've got the convenience of that 2-wire connection and that you don't need additional power. Specifically, some of the things that make Precision Digital's loop leader great is that this is a 3rd-generation product for us. It was designed brand new from the ground up. So we've got decades of experience dealing with loop power meters, and we know how to make a good one. And we know how to make it rugged and bright and easy to install. You're getting a quality industrial product when you buy from Precision Digital, and there has been a great reaction to this product in the marketplace, and people have loved them when they bought them. So we are very happy with this product line, and we're sure your customers will be too. If you look at the competition for this, most of them are at least 10 years old. We'll see some pictures of competitive units later, and you can just look at them and tell that those products are old and obsolete. For those of you who have the printed selling guide, if you take a flip to page 14 and 15, you're going to see a lot of those meters in those photos. And boy, when you look at them, you know they're an inferior product because they were designed 10 to 20 years ago. And we're the only meter with PC-based USB programming software available to program it. That is just not a feature you find on a 2-wire meter. We're also the only one you're going to find with a dual-line display on it to have more information. And once again, the last bullet there, we are just the best looking. You can feel confident putting this in front of someone. This is a display. People buy it to look at it. You want the one that looks the best. Now, if your customers start talking about more complicated applications, we've got the ability to support those applications with 2 onboard solid-state relays. Those are actual solid-state relays on a loop-powered device. So you can have this be the core of your system that alarms for horns and sirens. You can have it use its open collector outputs to send information back to the PLC. We even have the ability to be a loop isolator because we have a passive 4 to 20 milliamp output. So we can do a lot more on this loop power meter than you're probably used to loop power meters being able to do. So the minute that customer has some more complicated applications they need done, you can look up the information on predig.com, or you can just give us a call and talk to us about it. So how do you actually sell the product? What are the nuts and bolts of doing to sell the product? Well, you talk about it on every 4 to 20 milliamp application call you make. When you sell a transmitter, ask them if they'd like to display that information easily at eye level for their operators. You hand out that customized loop leader flyer that lays out all this information and shows them all the different displays on simple 2-page flyer. And for those of you who think you have a lot of opportunity with this product line, we've got our PDD 6600, I apologize if I misprint there, our PDD 6600 loop power meter demo, which shows not only the rate totalizer as well as the process display version with the decimal display, but it also shows the feet and inches display on the bottom. We have 2 meters in that demo for you to essentially be able to show whatever kind of display type you like. With that, I'm going to take a couple questions from the audience because we've had a number of them coming in. Some of these are a little too complicated to cover in a webinar. So for those of you who do not get your questions answered, know that we will be in touch with you after the webinar to answer any of the unanswered questions. So the first question I'm going to ask here is from Eric, and Eric wants to know how much is that PDD 6600 loop leader demo unit. So that demo unit I was just talking about, if I go back one slide, has a list price of $583. However, while it would normally be available to you with your discount, I'm going to offer it to anyone attending today at 50% off. So for just under $300, you can get 2 meters, a simulator to show that information, show the rate totalizers, the feet and inches meters, any of the versions of this product, show off the USB software, even connect your transmitters with that depluggable connector in the lower right, all inside of a rugged carry case for just under $300. If you think that you want to make some money with this loop leader, that is a great way to show your transmitter and show the display that you can sell the customer so they can actually see that information. Brad in the audience would like to know, what is the difference between the loop leader line and the ProView line, other than the fact that this is loop powered? I think that's what you're getting at. So you're right, being loop powered is the main difference. Our ProView line, our black case panel meters, are line powered, meaning that you have to have 24 volts or 120 volts or something like that available for the meter in order to power it up. Obviously, with the loop leader, you don't. You just need a 4 to 20 line. The ProView, however, comes with a 24-volt power supply standard. So if you were building a new application, you might want to start with a ProView, because then you can just use the 24-volt power supply on the ProView to run the transmitter. If they've already got power, or this is an application that's already got some parts installed, if you're, for example, providing a display for a transmitter that you've already sold someone just to add an eye-level display, then the loop leader is a great alternative for that. Also, you're going to find that the loop leader is a little less expensive than the ProView, so if cost is an issue, this is a great alternative there too. So it's essentially for convenience, for existing applications, and to try to find a lower cost element. The final, of course, big difference is the fact that you can get the loop leader with intrinsically safe or non-incentive Div 1 and Div 2 approvals, which you cannot get on the ProView. And I just had one more come in from Nazim, who wants to know, can you wire it using 4-wire power? Well, you can't do that, and nor would you really want to. The whole purpose of using a loop leader is that you've got that 2-wire 4 to 20 milliamp loop, and so you wouldn't need to, nor can you, connect up 24 volts to power up this meter. It is designed to run off the 4 to 20 line. It takes a few volts off of that loop, and that's how it gets its power. Now, if you have a customer that really does want that 4-wire device, I'd encourage you to take a look at our ProView line, our black case panel meters at predig.com, though we won't be getting too much more into those products during this presentation. Again, for those of you whose questions I did not answer, we will get back to you either at a question session at the end of the webinar, or we'll get back to you by doing a follow-up. And to follow up on that 4-wire question comment, Nazim has also asked, what's the voltage drop across it? And without the backlight, it is only a 1.5 volt drop. So you can easily install this in other loops in loops that have other equipment in them. So what do you need to know in order to go and sell this that we may not have already covered? Well, you know your general target market, 40, 20 milliamp loops that need local indication, alarm, or control. Places where they don't have additional power sources available to power up that local indicator. And where you're going to find those things most often? Places where your transmitters are hard to read or badly located. So for example, you can see on that picture on the right, they've got Vega level transmitters that have a display on them. However, to read that display, someone needs to walk to the side of the yard, climb up some stairs, go to the top of the tanks, walk over these catwalks, climb up to the very top tank, walk over the top of the tank where there's no railings, and read that level transmitter. Well, nobody wants to do that. But they've already got the 4 to 20 wires coming down those tanks and over to this control panel. So the easy thing to do to prevent people from having to climb around those tanks is just to add a 4 to 20 milliamp loop power display right on that 4 to 20 milliamp line coming from the transmitter. And that's what they did here. Talking a little bit more about line powered versus loop powered. For those of you who aren't entirely sure what we're talking about, here is the difference. You've got a picture of our ProView panel meter here with 4 connections for line power. So you've got your external power supply that's running the ProView. But then the ProView provides the 24 volts needed to run the transmitter loop. So for new applications, the ProView is a great choice. However, when a 2-wire, easier to install and locate transmitter is called for, would be when you've already got your DC power supply and your 4 to 20 milliamp transmitter selected, you know where you want those items, you have them available, and you want to put a display in that 4 to 20 milliamp loop, wherever it happens to be convenient for viewing, not where you happen to have the power. Now, there's a lot of other reasons why you choose loop-powered meters over line-powered meters and vice versa. I don't need to go through every one, but here's a table that gives you some sense. For example, maybe you just like the fact that the 14-segment display on the loop leader lets you actually show Ks and Ts and Ns or Ms better than it would allow you to display it on a 7-segment display like on the ProView. Maybe you're looking to save some cost. Perhaps you are interested in the fact that you have serial communications, and that's going to push you to line power meters where you can more easily get things like Modbus. So there are reasons to choose each one. Again, you'll find tables like this in your selling guide. But there is definitely a place in your product line offerings for loop power meters, and I think you'll find a lot of interest in them. So to review, where do you sell loop power meters? You sell them anywhere 4 to 20 milliamp output devices are sold. You especially look for Div 2 areas because that Div 2 non-incentive approval is extremely useful, and it's tough to find that on products. So the natural question you want to ask whenever your customer is buying 4 to 20 milliamp output products is, would it be handy to have local indication of the process mounted in some convenient spot? They're buying a transmitter to measure some critical piece of information. They're spending a lot of money to do it. So another question you could ask any customer, even someone that you're not able to make a sale to today, is, do you have any 4 to 20 milliamp loops you'd like to display? But maybe you don't have any power available to do it. So if you make a call on a plant and you don't successfully sell anything that day, if you ask them what's going on and their answer is nothing, ask them if they have any loops they'd like to display in a more convenient spot, because this is an easy sell to do that. It's a very convenient installation. All you have to do is put it anywhere along that 4 to 20 milliamp wire. So there's two things that you can do to sell more loop power meters, of course. Actually, I should say, really, one of the more important things you can do is walk around the customer's plant. You know, don't just go into the office, ask if there's any new projects, ask if they need a loop power meter. If they say no, leave. Go for a tour around the plant. And when you do it, and you've likely done it before, when you do it this time, ask for if there are any areas, excuse me, where they need a better handle on the process, where they want to have the people working with the valves, the actuators, et cetera, in the field, have a better sense of what's happening, rather than just sending it all back to the SCADA system. If their answer is yes, you install a local display there. And the easiest way to do that is to use a loop power meter. And my personal favorite thing to do when I'm walking around plants is look for ladders and stairs. Nobody wants to climb those. I certainly don't. So look for places where they're going out of their way to try to get access to transmitters and offer to put something at the base of the tank. Don't make them get down on their hands and knees to read a stump display or climb a tank to read a level transmitter. Don't make them have to walk over some scaffolding or take out some ceiling tiles or cock their head sideways and climb up on a box to read a flow meter above their heads. Offer them a conveniently located display for that information. These places really pop at you if you go walking through a plant looking for them. Other things you can do? Well, don't assume your customer wouldn't like local indication if they didn't ask. It's the last thing the customer's thinking about. There's so much complication in choosing a transmitter or a flow meter or a pressure transmitter, level transmitter. The last thing they're thinking about is the display. They need to make sure the technology's right. They need to make sure the price is right. That's where they start the conversation. They won't be thinking about a display until you leave and they decide you haven't provided a complete solution and they need to go find someone to sell them a display. So ask when you're selling the display. Be proactive about it. In fact, assume they always want it and offer it as part of the package. Add it to the quote. You can demonstrate the product form. Connect up your transmitter to it. Really show them the value you're bringing as their distributor. And of course, hand out and leave that loop leader flyer. Let them take a look at it and ponder it for a couple of minutes. Even if they only look at it for a minute and they throw it out, it's the cost of a piece of paper. And keep in mind, the typical customer for this product are the people you're already seeing. They're the people buying 4 to 20 milliamp output devices from you. These are the places you want to go and the customers you want to be in front of anyway. So make the most you can. Sell them a complete solution. Now, there are those of you who will say that when I try to sell transmitters, or I try to sell displays for my transmitters, that they always come back with the fact that my transmitter already has a display. That's our number one objection, is that, well, my transmitter's already got a display. I don't need your other display products. Well, here's why you do. First off, for those of you who said that you were in the flow, oftentimes the flow meter display does not totalize. If it does totalize, maybe you have to choose between seeing rate and total. Well, that's a problem. We offer you the ability to see rate and total on the same screen. And on the right of your screen, you'll see some other Precision Digital products doing just that, showing rate and total for a flow meter. Now, you will also notice the flow meter tends to be mounted high, out of the way. It's difficult to read, so there's plenty of other reasons why you would want it. But just to get the rate and total on one screen usually requires another remote display. The transmitter is almost always mounted in a hard-to-reach location or hard-to-see place. And when it's not, it can still be difficult to access. So even if it's not on top of a tank or under a floor tile or sideways 10 feet off the ground, here's an example of an open channel flow application. And sure, you can get to the transmitter. You just have to get down on your hands and knees into this dirty, rusty plant floor and squint to read the tiny little display that's on it. Well, if you don't want to do that, mount a Precision Digital unit right next to it. Put it at eye level. Show the value on a bright, sunlight-readable, large display. You don't want to have to read these displays where the transmitter is located. That's a great way to get them ignored. Keep in mind that even though the transmitter on top of the tank has a display on it, nobody wants to climb up there. And beyond just the location, we show it to you in feet and inches as an option. So you can see an actual application photo for a PD6700 product, which is our Nemaforex field mount version of a similar product, a loop-powered meter like this. And we took that exact same feet and inches display that allowed them to just attach it to their electronics enclosure and have a feet and inches with percent display for that tank. We took that same display and put it in the loop leader. So now they can see it's 46 feet 10 inches, 96%. And they have a bar graph, so if they don't even notice the numbers, they can know they're almost full. And it's easy to install it. You just need to break your 4-to-20 wire and add the loop-powered meter. So a few other things that allow you to overcome that objection about transmitters already having a display. Transmitter's display is just hard to read. These could be located in the most convenient spot possible. However, it's a tiny display with a poor viewing angle, no backlight, 3 digits, recessed behind a window. You can't read it. Well, you can solve that by using Precision Digital. The transmitters usually don't have relays, or if they do have maybe one alarm, it's not enough to drive a horn and a strobe and a high alarm and a low alarm. Well, we can do that. Even our loop leader, our 2-wire meter, comes with 2 solid-state relays as an option and standard with 2 open collector outputs. And finally, beyond just being a display, our products can be signal conditioners, power supplies, loop isolators. Particularly the loop leader that we're talking about here today makes a great 4-to-20 milliamp isolator because not only does it provide loop isolation between your control room and the field, it also offers you a display at a convenient location. So there's plenty of responses to the transmitter already having a display. You just need to be having the conversation. So when I ask you how you respond to the transmitter already has a display as an objection, what do you say? You could show them a better display, show them your demo, show them the flyer. You could see if they want it at eye level, which their transmitter almost certainly is not. You could talk about the need to see feet and inches units. Maybe you want to check if they have totalization on their flow meter display. You talk about the need for relays. You could suggest it as an isolator. For those of you wondering which one of these is the correct answer, I will cheat and let you know all of these are the right answer. All of these could be your response, and hopefully you'll have all of them at the ready once you've taken this webinar and reviewed the Selling Strategies flyer or booklet, which you've either gotten or will be mailing to you. So I guess some of you do like one over the other, but they are all valid responses. You could check off every box here. So what are your top 10 selling opportunities for this product? What do you want to look for on your next sales call? Well, you want to look for customers who want displays where they don't have power. They would love a display next to that ladder so they don't have to climb it, but they don't have power there. No problem. You've got the answer for that. You want to look for 4 to 20 milliamp loops that are really heavily burdened. So for example, in the display you're seeing here, let's say they've got a 24-volt power supply, but they're going to lose a volt for their isolator. They're going to lose 18 volts for their transmitter. They're going to lose a volt for their chart recorder. And they thought that was it. They felt like, all right, I'm already using 20 volts of my 24 volts. I don't want to go too much higher than that. Well, the loop leader can be added to this loop, and it only adds 1.5 volts. So if you see a loop with a lot of information in there, that goes to show you they really think this is important. Offer them a low voltage drop loop leader so that they can display that information very clearly in big digits for their operators. Any customers who like to have isolation between their field device and another device, the PLC, the DCS system, or if it's running maybe just right into the control room instruments. If they don't have isolation, offer it to them. People love isolation. They like it for safety. They like it for noise immunity. And not only do they get an isolator, they get a nice display for that value as well that they can put out in the field. Any customers who want a loop-powered alarm trip to switch an AC or DC load like an alarm siren, a light stack, a siren, where they'd like to just easily add in something to do that alarming, but they don't have something out there currently. If you've got any customers with Div 2 areas, which is essentially any kind of customer who has a hazardous area location, they love Div 2 equipment. It's much cheaper and easier to install these because they are Div 2 rather than trying to squeeze a Div 1 piece of equipment into a Div 2 area, because to put a intrinsically safe Division 1 product in a Div 2 area, you still have to install it with barriers as if it were Div 1. Not to mention that where your alternative may be explosion-proof products, non-incentive products are much lower cost. So they like to use them whenever they can. They like them for big jobs. They love them for panels. Any customers who have feet and inches information that isn't working anymore, like that they got off of an old float, for example, that otherwise they would have to replace with a digital decimal display, well, hey, you've got a feet and inches alternative for them. So anytime you have somebody who's doing level, show them the option for feet and inches. Customers love it over seeing 72.314 feet or 822.9 inches. You know, that doesn't mean anything to anybody, really. Customers who have flow meters and they want to see rate and total at the same time, or total and grand total at the same time. You can see here how our display will flash between showing rate and total and the units for the rate and total. And any of your customers that have outdoor applications, particularly outdoor tanks or flow meters, these are sunlight readable, easy to install, weatherproof displays. That's a tough thing to come by, and a lot of customers don't trust that these meters are going to be weatherproof and sunlight readable. Well, with Precision Digital, you can trust they will be. So offer that to them. Let them know that we stand behind that. Anywhere with truck loading or unloading yards or exterior tanks, that's really valuable features to have. Once again, any panel shops or customers building UL-listed Div 2 control panels. You know, there are 436 companies that just do UL Div 2 panels. I guarantee you there's some of those 436 in your territory. Show this product to them. And any customers who buy large quantities of meters. If you've got OEMs, skid builders, equipment manufacturers, or panel shops that buy large quantity of meters will love this product. It's easy to install, so they save time and effort. It's got programming software that makes it simple to program. And it's a quality product they can stand behind. It's a great choice for them. They ought to see it. So let's briefly look at the competition so you know what else you're going to run into. The most important elements for a loop-powered meter like this, well, you've got the display, obviously. You've got your voltage drop that's important. Your operating temperature range, for the record, we go down to -40, and by the fact that we function at -40, I mean we will change digits at -40. The competition does not do that. You want a good solid NEMA 4X front panel that looks good and feels rugged. You want to have all the right approvals, which of course we do. And then you've got the additional functionality. So when the application gets complicated, you've got the ability to solve it. Well, a couple of things to look for when we see a few pictures in a moment. We've got that dual line display. We're the only one on this list that does. And the advantage of that is we can not only show you a number, we can tell you what it is. If you look at that blinking display on the left here, you're going to see that it's tank 12 showing at 49.7 feet. If I just threw a number at you, hey, it's 49.7. What tank is that? What am I looking at? What are the units? Is that percent? Is that feet? Is it inches? All those things make a radical difference. Also, we can dual scale that 4 to 20 milliamps. So our one signal can be displayed in, for example, feet and gallons. So you can see all the different ways that information would be valuable to read. We also have the feet and inches display. We're the only one out there that does. Not to mention that red blinking alarm with a custom indicator. So, that low flow is customizable. If you want it to say tank 2 or high alarm or run away, you can program it to say that while it's blinking red. It really grabs attention, which is what you want. It's an alarm. And then, of course, we've got that vertical bar graph with a percent indicator. So just one more way that you intuitively explain what's going on with this process to someone. So here's some of the competition units. And boy, I'll tell you, just looking at the display pictures, you know everything you need to know. Those units are 10 to 20 years old. You can't tell what you're looking at. They're limited numbers of digits. And yet, when you bring it all down to that bottom line of price, we start at $194, which is in the ballpark or lower cost than a lot of the competition for a much better product. So once you go in somewhere and you start talking about this, you should be confident you've got the best solution for them. It's competitively priced. It's a much better display. It's got a lot more features. Comparing it to our old loop leader, for those of you who may be familiar with that product line, know that we start at the same price the old loop leaders used to be priced at. But now you've got a dual line display, you've got bar graph options, feet and inches options. We've got similar approvals, and we do rate and total just like the old ones did. It's actually a much more rugged display now with the rubberized push buttons and a better protected LCD. But it's got a lot more functionality, a lot more features. Open collector outputs, 2 of them standard. Optional solid state relays. The ability to have a 4 to 20 milliamp output. Digital input. There's just a lot more this new product can do. So if you like the old one, you will love the new one. I don't have time to go over every key feature of the product. There are just too many that could be useful. So I'll let you take a brief second just to look down this list and see if any of these pop. Your customers want to know about these things. I'm betting that they do. And the only way they're going to know about it is if you tell them about it, if you show the demo, if you hand out a flyer, if you give out the catalog. That's it. That's what it takes to sell it, and that is what it takes for your customers to know about it. You have to proactively mention this product at the end of your sales call, after you've taken the tour, after you've found some application locations, after you've sold them your transmitters. You've got to mention this. If you don't mention it, there's nothing I can do to sell it for you. Products do not sell themselves. But if you talk about it, there's tons of reasons they should care, and it gives you a chance to make more profit on that call. Lastly, a brief note on hazardous area approvals. For those of you who understand hazardous area approvals, I've put a copy of our approvals there on the left. So we are UL for both Canada and the US listed as Class 1 Div 1 and Class 1 Div 2. We've got ATEX and IECX approvals as intrinsically safe products. If you don't know what I mean, then I would urge you to get your Loop Leader selling guide out again. take a look at it when we send you one in the mail, because the last 4 pages of that selling guide talk specifically about what all that alphabet soup means, and it explains to you how to read it. So if you see that on the left and it all makes sense to you, great. If you don't understand it, see your selling guide. Ask for another one if you need one, or as I said earlier, request one either in the chat, or if you'd already requested one earlier, that's great too. There's a lot of good information in it. It's 24 pages, just packed full of valuable information to help you sell these kinds of products. With that, I will thank you for attending. You've got my contact info up here on the screen. If you have 5 more minutes, I'm going to answer a question or two and then show you how to register at the Precision Digital website so that you can make your own custom Loop Leader flyer. That'll only take about a minute to show you. But first, I do have a couple of questions here that I think I have time to answer. Eric had asked, where can we find the brochure I mentioned on the website? And that's a great question. To be honest with you, I'm not sure that the brochure itself is up online yet. That selling guide is designed just for distributors. Of course, if you do like it and you want to hand it to customers, I'll be happy to send you more. So if you want to see that brochure, please let me know and I will mail one out to you. It'll be to you in a couple of days. And if you like it and you want more for your sales team or to hand out, well, I've got plenty. I would be happy to provide you if you're going to get them in front of people. Also, John asked the question, when using the relays, the power for the light or horn does not come from the indicator, correct? And that's correct. These solid-state relays are essentially just a dry contact. So you need to provide some power for it. However, because those are just simple loads, you've just got a horn, a siren, a strobe, a light, you could, if needed, gang up that power supply and have it be the same power supply that's running your 4 to 20 milliamp loop, and you'd be pretty safe to do so. It's not like you're running multiple signal loops around with that power supply. But the core of your question is right. The relays on the Loop Leader do not provide power. You would have to provide power to run through that relay to run your external device. And in follow-up to your question there, John, about the 4 to 20 milliamp output being powered, it is just a passive 4 to 20 milliamp output. So again, that will also require external power. As you can imagine, we're dropping 1.5 volts off of a 4 to 20 milliamp loop. That does not somehow let us turn that into a powered 4 to 20 milliamp output. I'd love to figure out how to do it. If I do, I think I'll be quite rich. But in the meantime, it's just a passive loop isolator. There are a few more questions. Once again, we'll get back to you with those answers after the webinar where we can explain them a little bit more. Several of you have asked, in fact, we just got another one, if a copy of this presentation is going to be available. And yes, a copy of this presentation will be emailed out next week, both a recording of the presentation you can watch on YouTube, as well as the slides in PDF form. For those of you who'd like to stick around for a moment, I'm now going to do a screen share, and I'm going to show you how you can make your own customized Loop Leader flyer, as well as access your distributor account information, sales information, customer information that we know you've drop shipped to, etc., all on predig.com with just a couple of clicks. So I'm going to switch over to a screen share now. And hopefully you're now seeing the Precision Digital website. If somebody wants to let me know if that went through all right, I'd certainly appreciate that. You should be seeing intelligent monitoring control at predig.com. So as a distributor, all you have to do to register for an account, I guess first let me sign out of my account, is click on register in the upper right-hand corner. Thanks for the feedback there, folks, letting me know that you were here. And this is the critical part of this. When you go to register, you want to click on the button that says, I am a Precision Digital Authorized Distributor. And that'll open up an area for you to let us know all about your company. Because you can imagine it's the internet, and bots are always trying to do strange things. We want to make sure we authorize you to be a distributor on our website and not just give that information to anybody who clicks on the button. So when you do that, we'll usually need a few minutes to an hour to confirm in-house here that you are who you say you are and activate your distributor access on this account. So you'll go fill this out, you'll come back in an hour or so, and we'll have it all set up for you. When you do that, and you sign back in, so let me sign in as myself here for a moment, you're going to have a first it'll bring you to your account page just to verify your billing address, shipping address, etc. But if you go back to the home page, you're going to have a slightly different home page. And as you scroll down now, you're going to see information where it will say Precision, in this case it says Precision Digital Corp. It'll say your company's distributor account summary. And that itself, any of these blue things with those two little arrows, those are all links. And you can click on your account summary to go onto a page that will show you your sales for the last 5 years, what your projected 2018 sales are, what your margin's been, what your products mix looks like, your sales history, and even the customers that we know you've sold to for both, and your orders for 2017, 2018. This is great information if you want to know, for example, hey, have I actually sold Precision Digital to my top 10 customers? You can go double check it right here. And this information, as far as the customers you've sold to, is what we've gathered mostly from your drop ships. Unless you've notified us of accounts in order to try to claim commissions on those accounts, etc. This is just who we know you've drop shipped to. Now, you also have access to Explore Precision Digital's distributor resources. So when I click on that, it brings me to a page full of specific distributor information and resources. This is only available to you once you've had your account approved as a distributor. You can view your discount information, see your distributor summary, meet the members of our sales team, notify us of accounts you may be covering so that if they try to come direct, we can give you commissions on those, see any commissions that you may be due. And then we have, amongst all of these other items here as well, we've got the one we came here to look for, which is download personalized flyers. And when I click on that, it brings me to a page where I can then download personalized flyers to Express. And you'll see we've got a number of these flyers up here. So for example, if I wanted a Spanish language flyer, we've got one for you there. If I wanted just a general flyer to hand out to all my customers about Precision Digital products in general, you could choose this one that just asks, do you need a ground level display for your transmitters? Do you need larger, brighter, easier to read displays? But we're here for the top one, which is the new loop-powered process meter and flow rate totalizers flyer. Then you fill in your information at the bottom. So I'm going to say I'm Joe Ryan. I'm going to put my direct phone number. Oh, actually, let me try that again. I'll put my direct phone number. Say Precision Digital. Apologize if you can hear the typing. 233 South Street, Hopkinton, Mass. 646. And we're at predig.com. I even have an extra line I could use to fill in anything else I want. If I have my logo ready, I could upload a picture as well. When I go and hit submit, it just generated for me this custom PDF. And if I go down to the back of the flyer, there's all the information that I just typed in, right there in the lower left. So my local distributor is, and there would be all your information. If I had uploaded a logo to it, then it would put that logo in that box as well. So for example, if I had uploaded the Precision Digital logo, I could have the Precision Digital logo appearing right there. And now I'm good to just save this and start printing them out. So if you want to start making more money with the Loop Leaders today, that would be a good place to start. Well, we are almost at an hour, so that will bring this presentation to a close. I appreciate all of you who stuck around for this little added bit about your distributor resources online. I urge you to go sign up. Do it now while you're a member to do it. And then come back a little later today and start making yourself some custom flyers. And check out all the other things in that Distributor Resource Center. It's got a lot of valuable information in there that I think you'd find useful. Once again, you've got my information on the screen if you need to contact me for any reason. I look forward to hearing about all the successes you've had with the Loop Leader and our other products as you give out our flyers, our catalogs, show our demos, and use the information from that Loop Leader selling guide that you either have or will be shortly on the way. Thank you. I hope you all have a good weekend.